You are not the only kind of human that ever existed. At various points in the last million years, there were at least 8 other species of human walking this planet. Homo erectus, Neanderthals, Denisovans, Homo floresiensis, a 3-foot-tall human that survived until just 50,000 years ago. Others whose names most people have never heard. They weren't animals. They made tools. They made fire. Some of them made art. Some of them buried their dead and left flowers on the graves. And every single one of them is gone. We are the last humans. The only species in the entire history of the genus Homo that is still here. And the reason why, the real reason, is one of the most unsettling open questions in all of science. Let's be clear about who we're talking about. Homo erectus appeared almost 2 million years ago. They used tools, controlled fire, and spread across Africa, Asia, and Europe. They survived for nearly 2 million years, longer than any other human species in history, including us. By comparison, Homo sapiens has only existed for around 300,000 years. We are the newcomers. Neanderthals lived across Europe and Central Asia for over 400,000 years. They had larger brains than us. They were stronger, better cold-adapted, and had been surviving ice ages long before we arrived. They made jewelry. They created pigment. They cared for their elderly and injured in ways that required genuine social organization. The Denisovans we only discovered in 2010 from a single finger bone found in a Siberian cave. We know they were widespread across Asia. We know they interbred with both Neanderthals and Homo sapiens. Beyond that, almost everything about them is unknown. Homo floresiensis, the so-called hobbit humans of Indonesia, stood around 3 feet tall, made sophisticated stone tools, and survived until approximately 50,000 years ago. These were not failed experiments. These were not primitive sketches of what a human could be. These were fully realized species that had survived everything the planet threw at them, for hundreds of thousands of years each, until we arrived. Here is the pattern that nobody can explain away. Homo sapiens left Africa approximately 70,000 years ago. We moved into the Middle East, then Asia, then Europe, then Australia, then the Americas. And everywhere we went, something happened. We arrived in Australia around 65,000 years ago. Within a few thousand years, 90% of Australia's megafauna was gone. Giant wombats the size of cars, marsupial lions, a lizard that made Komodo dragons look small. We arrived in Europe around 45,000 years ago. Neanderthals had survived there for 400,000 years. Within 5,000 years of our arrival, a blink in evolutionary time, they were gone. We arrived in the Americas around 15,000 years ago. Within 2,000 years, 75% of all large mammals on both continents were extinct. Mammoths, giant ground sloths, American horses, American camels, gone. Every single time, every single place, the same pattern. The question is what that pattern means, and there are 3 possible answers, and none of them are comfortable. Theory 1. Climate. The end of the last ice age brought dramatic climate shifts, warming temperatures, changing vegetation, disrupted ecosystems. Many researchers argue that Neanderthals and other species were already under pressure from climate change, and Homo sapiens arriving was simply the final stress that pushed already struggling populations over the edge. The problem with this theory, Neanderthals had survived multiple ice ages over 400,000 years. Climate change alone, without our arrival, is hard to sustain as the primary explanation. Theory 2. Competition. We were simply better at language, better at long-range planning, better at forming large cooperative social groups with strangers. We outcompeted other species for the same food sources until they starved. No violence required, just quiet, relentless economic pressure. Theory 3. Us, directly. The timeline in some regions is too fast for climate or competition to fully explain. Some archaeological sites show evidence of organized violence between species. Some researchers believe that what happened to Neanderthals, to every species that disappeared after our arrival, was not accident or competition. It was deliberate. If that's true, the extinction of every other human species wasn't something that happened to them, it was something we did. But here's where it gets complicated. Because the story isn't just extinction, it's also merger. When scientists sequenced the Neanderthal genome in 2010, they found something unexpected. If you are of non-African descent, approximately 1 to 4% of your DNA is Neanderthal. Not ancient contamination, not coincidence, direct inheritance from interbreeding that happened tens of thousands of years ago. Denisovan DNA survives too, most prominently in modern Melanesian and Aboriginal Australian populations, some of whom carry up to 5% Denisovan DNA. What this means is complicated. Homo sapiens didn't just replace other human species. In some cases, we absorbed them. People alive today carry genes from species that are supposedly extinct. The Neanderthal who contributed DNA to your genome had descendants. You might be one of them. So the question of why only we survived has a stranger answer than simple extinction. Some of them didn't disappear, some of them became us. So why did only Homo sapiens survive as a distinct species? The honest answer, the scientifically accurate answer, is that we don't fully know. Climate played a role, competition played a role, interbreeding played a role, violence may have played a role. The real answer is probably all of these things, weighted differently in different places and at different times. But here's what we do know. Every human species that existed before us was capable of survival, capable of adaptation, capable in some cases of art and thought and grief. They were not lesser, they were not failed, they were different branches of the same tree, and those branches are gone. We are not the pinnacle of human evolution, we are the survivor, and survival, as any biologist will tell you, is not the same thing as superiority. It just means you're still here. The next time you look at another person, really look. Consider this. You are looking at the end result of a process that eliminated every other version of what a human could be. Whatever combination of luck, language, cooperation, and ruthlessness brought your ancestors through, it worked. Against odds that erased 8 other species, it worked. But the Neanderthal who sat by a fire 40,000 years ago, who buried a child with flowers, who looked up at the same stars you look at, they were not so different from you. They thought, they felt, they survived for longer than we have. And somewhere in your DNA, they still do.